talk about the second type now. Okay. All right. You need to know something before this. You need to know, I guess, a little formula. The formula is z to the n, usually asked as part I. And you saw that in this year's HSC. They asked that as a part I first. But it's good for you guys just to know it anyways. Z to the n plus z to the negative n. This becomes 2 cos n theta. Z to the n minus z to the negative n. This becomes 2i sine n theta. Can we please prove? And how would you prove this? So let's prove the first one. Firstly, I. What do you let z equal to? Incorrect.
R cis theta.
R cis theta. You let z equal to either x plus iy or cis theta. For this one, if you're going to prove cos and sine on the right-hand side, you probably want to choose cis theta instead of Cartesian form. Make sense? So I equals, we've got to talk at the end as well. I equals, so let z equal to R cis theta. Actually, R is incorrect. Cis theta. Z is equal to cis theta. Hold on. In case you're rubbing out. If it was R, am I wrong? I just think we don't use R because usually R is going to be 1. So I'm just going to stick to it. Z equals to cis theta. So sub it in, cis n theta plus cis negative n theta. All right, expand cis. That becomes cos n theta plus I sine n theta plus cos. What is cos with a negative n theta become? Cos with a negative n theta just becomes cos n theta. What does sine with a negative n theta become? Negative I sine n theta. And then what happens? These two cross out and proven. Sounds good? Can you guys just quickly make sure you can do the sine one? I won't do it, but just try it on if you want on your paper, board, whatever. You got auxiliary equals? Did you have any other questions yet? No. Okay. Good. All right, just make sure you can do it. I think in this year's paper, they did it as let z equal to EI theta. Which we don't use. That was a trick. Don't use EI theta, use cis theta. Otherwise, how are you going to get from E to a cos? Well, I don't know. So don't do it. You're meant to replace EI theta for cis theta. Okay, all good. You can see what's going to happen with the sine, right? The cos will cancel out, and you get positive 2 sine. All right, very good. Let's see if we can prove this next bit. Now, what a lot of students get confused about is usually just the beginning. So just listen up, make sure if you've got a question after what I say it, voice it. With the one above, this one here, it didn't matter what the question asked. if it was cos or sine, we still did both cos and sine at the beginning, and then, bless you, then we equate at the end for whatever we want. One more time. These ones, we did both cos and sine, and then we equate for whatever we want. These ones, you choose the one that you want. You don't start with both. So, is it the first one or the second one? It's the first one. Because that says cos, you choose the first one. So see how it's already different? It's not like the other one where you chose both or you did de more or whatever. It's not like that. Okay, so you choose the first one. What does n equal to? What does n equal to? One more time. If I'm going to compare this with this. Incorrect. Why is it 1? Can you explain a little bit further? You said the word that I would have said, but you don't know how to explain it. Look, this one here is a multiple of theta. This one here is a power. So is this n? This n? No. This is a power of 6. This is a multiple of 6, let's say, a multiple of theta. So this n is actually equal to 1. So n is equal to 1. So if n equals to 1, your first line, n like 99.9999999% of the time, n at the beginning is going to be equal to 1. Because it's going to be trying to say, it's going to say, you know, find cos to the 5 theta, or find sine to the 4 theta, whatever. It's not going to say go find sine to the 4 of 2 theta. See? Good. All right, rub. So, now that you've worked out it's the first one, and we worked out that n is actually equal to 1, the rest of it's easy for everybody. That's usually the hardest bit, just those first 2 steps. Understanding that you've got to pick one of those 2 firstly, and then n is equal to 1. If n equals to 1, then it should look like this, if we all agree. 2 cos theta equals z plus z to the negative 1, and then technically you want this to the power of 6, which means this side here is also going to be to the power of 6. Does that make sense? What does n equal to? 1. 1. 1. What do you mean? Heart attacks like that. All right. Now look, I'll tell you a problem that I have seen again in exams, just so you guys understand. Look, if you get this one here as this, and it says prove this, please don't prove that one, because you're going to be there all day trying to work it out. You can't. You've got to convert this to this version, z to the negative n. Good. Now, when I'm here, personally, just my choice, I don't like negatives. So after the first line, I don't like index laws. I like fractions. Just a bit easier for me. So I'm going to actually use it like this. It's a personal choice. If you feel like you're good with your index laws, if you want to expand the orange one, that's good for you. Doesn't matter. Cool. But for the top one, it does matter. So for this one here, it will matter. But this one here, it doesn't matter which one you pick. It's just up to you and your own algebra. Cool? So don't feel like you've got to copy me. I'm going to expand now. The rest is easy. Equals. Let's give myself a little bit of room. 2 to the 6 cos to the 6 theta equals z6 plus 6z5 1 on z plus 5 15 z4 1 on z squared 20 z cubed 1 on z cubed plus 15 z squared 1 on z4 plus 6z 1 on z5 plus 1 on z6. So I'll just, again, I'll let you guys just look at that, ask me any questions you have. Any questions you've got? Okay. Do you have any Patrick looking? On that one? Maybe you want to do a question summary of that problem. Very easy, right? Depends on who's teaching. Okay. Easy?
Yeah.
Really is. Let's go back before I continue, because the next bit's going to be, again, really straightforward. Beginning. Where are we? This guy. So this one here, you start with both cos and sine. You expand by binomial, by De Morey, equate. This one here, you don't. If it's a power in terms of a multiple, you've got to pick which one you want to start with. This one, you obviously start with the first one because it's cos. What does n equal to? 1. Then, you've got power of 6, so we're going to do both sides to the power of 6. You're going to expand. There it is. Now, I'm going to continue. Because remember, don't forget what you're trying to get to, right? Cos, cos, cos. Multiple, multiple, multiple. If it's multiples, that means I've got to use this guy back again. True? I've got to use this formula again. Let's have a look. Equals Z6, 1 on Z6. Can you see that? This one and this one. You're going to group them as 1. What does this one become now? That's why I like using fractions. To me, it's just easy for me to cancel out. But what you guys would have had is, if you did that, you would have had 5, take away 1, 4. Same thing. Just, like I said, personal choice. I like that. And then same thing with this one. If you've done it right, what do? You're going to factorize what out? How's right you factorize? From these two? You'll factorize 6 out, and you're left with Z4 plus 1 on Z4. The next one, squared for 2, squared for 2. Again, what do we factorize out this case? 15, right? The common factors in both only will be 15. Z squared plus 1 on Z squared, last one, plus 20. Now, do these three terms look familiar? Aren't these three just this with different ends? Right? Can you see that? So 2 cos n theta equals 2 cos n theta. 2 cos n theta. 2 cos n theta. Maria, you lost? Yes.
Yeah.
At what stage? That line or the line before? Or the line before that? Black, red, first red, or second red?
Second red.
Second red, this one here. Okay. This guy, look at it, just look at it. Okay, now look at this guy. Right, and now look at this. Right. Don't all these three look very similar to this one here? Zn plus 1 on Zn? Isn't it? Isn't this exactly this? Just instead of being n. Okay, so isn't this Z6 plus 1 on Z6 the same as Zn plus 1 on Zn?
Yeah.
Except what is n equal to for the first one? So then didn't we say this was equal to 2 cos n theta? So then it'll become 2 cos 6 theta, and 2 cos 4 theta, and 2 cos. You're welcome. Good. Otherwise, I mean, how are you going to bring cos in? Not yet. Forget anything, right? Look at this first red line that we've got. Think about what you were trying to prove up here. Cos 6 theta, cos 4 theta. How are you going to bring cos in all of a sudden? So like, I know you're learning it now, but like, when you think about it a second time, at your own time, you're just going to be like, obviously, I'm stuck at z's. What am I going to do with z's? You're going to bring in cos. It makes sense. All right. And then I think you guys can see, it says 1 on 32. You can see they've taken out a common factor of 2, I'm assuming. Yep. And then 2 to the power of 6 is 64. They're going to actually, this is what's happened. I'll show you. So this 2 to the 6 is 64. And then by the time you divide by 64 on here, and you factorize your 2 out, this becomes 1 on 32. Factorize the 2, and that becomes cos, you're done. 6 cos 4 theta plus 15 cos 2 theta plus 10. Because you factorize 2 over 64 is 1 on 32. That was exactly the question that was in the HSC, wasn't it? If you guys remember, it was 1 on 32. Same. And then the last integration question for extension 2. Straight in my integration booklet. If you go and open it up, you'll see it in there. Crazy. Crazy easy. It was too easy, this extension 2 paper. So I've got to make sure for you guys, we're going to do all the hard questions. Because it was a bit too easy. Which isn't good. You don't want an easy paper. That means everyone in the whole state would have found it easy. Which means the scaling is not going to be good. Which means a lot of people will come first. Which means first is no longer first. But that's what you want. Trust me, you want a harder paper. You don't want an easy paper. Because hard paper, you guys are going to do well. It at least filters out all the people who are not going to do well. But then, no, because that happens, because all those people that won't do well, even if you guys get like a raw mark of, let's say, 75 or 80, that will scale up to like 97, 98 scale. So that's what we want. Whereas this year, I think the average would have been an 80. Just looking at the paper, I just like look at it, the average is an 80. Which is really high. The average should usually be around 55 to 60. Shouldn't be an 80. Yeah, too easy. That's okay. If we're fine with this, let's do a question that doesn't exist. Let's show that, and I obviously haven't written it. All right, let's see. If I'm missing, do I have another one? Yes. Yes. Let's get it out.